Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Bibliophiles, the show where we take a few minutes each week to discuss one topic all about books. My name is Amanda, and with me is Lucy and Christopher, and we are excited to have you here this week. We've got a bit of a treat. This week, we have chosen to all select a book from something we have read from some of the Black Lives Matters lists that AADL staff have put together. If you visit aadl.org/Black Lives Matter, there's a lot of content about some of the resources we've been working on, including we have discussions that have been happening. The past discussions are there, as well as future discussions, which are pretty cool. And then on the very bottom of the page, that is where you will find our collection of lists that staff have put together, sort of by genre or age group. And that is where myself, Lucy, and Christopher have pulled a book that we've read over the past several months to discuss today, and we are very excited to get started. So let's go ahead and start with Christopher. What did you choose?
Well, I was really happy to see this book by Mumia, Have Black Lives Ever Mattered? And this came out just a few years ago. It's a collection of essays all about Black lives and systematized racism in the country. Some of it is going to maybe be a little bit redundant if you've been paying somewhat of attention, the past year and before that. But the reason I liked it so much is that it does put the last 25 years into a context. And I think when you remind yourself of everything that's been happening, of course, going back further than 25 years, but the book particularly looks at cases in the last 25 years. I think you really have to realize there is systematized racism in the country. And that's the best part that I got out of the book. There are some quite horrific reminders of things that have happened. So it's not necessarily for the faint of heart, but I really like the book a lot. Each essay is just a few pages long, so it makes for very fast reading. So, Lucy?
I also picked a book of essays. It's called The Fire This Time, A New Generation Speaks About Race, and it's edited by Jesmyn Ward. So it's actually a collection of essays and poems by different people. And Jesmyn Ward was inspired by James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time, which he wrote in 1963, or she used that as a jumping off point to ask writers, essayists, and poets to examine race. And so she asked prominent writers and thinkers of her generation to contribute to this book. And it's sort of separated in three sections based on what she received from them. So the first section is called Legacy, and that sort of looks at the past. It's an examination of race in the past. So it goes back into slavery and some of that legacy there. The middle section is called Reckoning. So that's people who are writing and speaking more about what's going on right now. And then the last section is called Jubilee. And so that's this sort of hopeful look towards the future. But one of the things I really loved about this book, I read it a few times, is that because it's all these different voices in there, I was introduced to some new essayists and poets whose work I've gone on to read a little bit further. And all the voices are so different, but everything that everyone writes is incredibly illuminating and powerful. And you can read some of it, you could read all of it at once, but there's a lot in it. So that's The Fire This Time by Jesmyn Ward. Amanda, what did you pick?
I picked the same book as Lucy.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
No, don't apologize. So for you viewers at home, we do not tell each other what our picks are for each week. And every week I always think, what if we pick the same book? So I'm excited. That is a great nod for this book. And if you haven't read it yet, you need to pick it up and read it. It's a great book. Lucy already gave you the recap. I think any project that Jessamine Ward's name is attached to is just going to be a winner. Her voice is amazing. And while she just does the intro in this book, her other standalone novels and works are amazing as well. So this was one of the first books that I wanted to grab and read. I bought a copy of it. I've only read it once, but as Lucy said, it's even though the content is heavy, it's you can read through it fairly quickly because they're such short essays with a variety of voices. So the pace goes a very fluid pace, but it's just fascinating hearing the different voices with these experiences that are so personal to them, but are so universal to others who are experiencing the same kinds of things. So I was really glad to read this, and I'm really glad Lucy picked the same book. So Christopher, guess what you're reading if you haven't read it already?
Yeah. That's it.
Perfect. Yeah. That's a pretty good recommendation.
I like what you said there, Amanda, about like the connection between universal and personal and universal experiences. I think that that's a really good description for the collection here.
Yeah, and the book was written in 2016, and a lot of the things that are happening present day are similar to things that were like the impetus for some of these some of the essays that people are writing. Like the book is dedicated to to Trayvon Martin. What does it say? It says to Trayvon Martin and the many other Black men, women, and children who have died and been denied justice for the last 400 years. So add 4 more years to that. So yeah. Any other final thoughts for this week? No? All right. So these books we chose are from the AADL put together some Black Lives Matter topical reads, and there's movies, and we have a collection of lists on our website, aadl.org/Black Lives Matter. There are memoirs, fiction, nonfiction. There are a bunch of other books I've also read from those lists as well. There's a variety for all ages. So thank you for joining us today for this week's episode. This was a fun one to talk about, and there's so much good content there to pour through. We hope you'll find something that will be suitable for what you're interested to read. The next time we get together here for Bibliophiles, we will be talking about one of our favorite memoirs. So that should also be we're on a little nonfiction tier here. But that's it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in to aadl.tv. And if you want to play by the YouTube rules, go ahead and click like, subscribe, let us know. If you want to join our conversation, if you want to let us know one of your favorite reads from our Black Lives Matters list, or just any books within that topical range, please drop us a comment on the page. If you look below, there's a link that takes you to our website. We'll keep your comments there so other viewers can also read your comments. So thanks again. We'll see you next time.